Warrior coming to you live from New York City on a Saturday afternoon. I wanted to jump in before my husband and I hit the town so I can give you a couple of updates, what's been going on. It's been a very busy week here in New York and also in Washington, D.C. regarding child safety, child exploitation. What is happening? Because while so many are consumed, right, with everything going on around our country, around the world, my greatest fear, I think, has come true, and that is anything to do with kids kind of just falls to the bottom of the totem pole and we don't really talk about it. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Please, let's have a roll call. Who is here? Give me a 5 by 5 so I can see that you are able to see me. You can hear me. Let's go.
You see something here. I heard you.
Edie Crowley's here.
Pardon me? Pardon me?
There's my William's here. We're just checking our
This will sound better. Hang on a second. Just 1 second, talk amongst yourselves.
well, let's go, Warriors. As everybody filters in, as
There we
is
go.
up. I don't know if anybody heard me, didn't hear me. Oh, I was muffled. Okay, well, I was welcoming everybody and telling everybody join me before my husband and I hit the town for some a business engagement. And I want to talk about a lot of issues that are happening. The first one is, I got to thinking. It's funny because I was thinking about this, and at the same time I was thinking about this, I then heard my husband recording something, because great minds think alike. Let's put it that way. But first, let me make sure you can. Let's see what we have. We have Edie, 5 by 5. We have William Smith. We have Gracie Loves George. Good afternoon, everybody. Don't forget, Edie, I'm going to take your job. Hit that like button. Please, please, please. I don't like begging, but that's what I do. Now, can everybody hear me loud and clear? Lionel Nation wants to know, does that sound better? Somebody let me know. Yes, Edie, I'm wearing part of my Barbie outfit. Yes, I am, to go out tonight in this 82-degree New York City weather. But before you know it, it'll be winter time, so why not, right? I want to talk about Diddy, and I'll tell you why this is important. Thank you, William. 5 by 6. I guess that means better than 5 by 5. I want to talk about this because I do get called. I do work a lot with Nancy Grace. I'm very happy about that. Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Boy, she sure is a warrior. She's been around for decades, whether she likes me saying that or not. She is a trooper. She's been in there. Every kind of, she just keeps going. She really is that wind up, robot that keeps on going. She just keeps doing it. Whether you like her, you don't like her, I give her a lot of credit. She keeps going, going, going. And I do love her because she recognizes what I do here on the Warriors, and anybody that gives us a platform to talk about child safety, it's not a very popular topic among people. We just adore them. That's a true warrior. But I was thinking, so much attention. So she has me on mostly for Diddy, Epstein. But then I was thinking, we have given so much. Now, hear me out about this one. Edie says, yes, Lynn, I did put up to hit the like. 3 minutes. Thank you, Edie. So much talk about Diddy. Again, I'm not promoting Diddy because, frankly, his nickname in my book is Dirty Diddy Degenerate, right? But he has been in jail now for a year here in New York. He not let out on bail. I'm not a lawyer, right? I'm married to a lawyer, but I'm not a lawyer. He has tried every trick in the book, and that's what Sean Combs, he's known for, an entrepreneur type marketer. I would say those are his strongest traits, and kind of how to beat the system and be out there all the time with PR, public relations, and be one step ahead of everybody, right? Yet he couldn't crack this one about getting out of jail, even on bail. Now we have seen, unfortunately, charges. We wanted to see sex trafficking charges. We really did. Those of us who work in this community of exploitation to hold one responsible for these heinous crimes. Let's see somebody held accountable, because those victims, thanks, Edie, those victims, those survivors of any of these crimes, right? Sexual in nature, they're worn out because there is very little accountability. Because when they see somebody like Diddy, okay, he got arrested, but that charge did not stick. Now, let's just leave that. We're not going to go discuss all his charges. He's coming up for sentencing next Friday, October 3rd. But I was thinking, well, what about Epstein? So we're putting all this media attention on Diddy, and I'm sure next week it's going to be explosive. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's all we'll hear about is Diddy. Epstein, of course, we heard a lot, but where's all the accountability right now about Epstein? Because it's kind of, when we're hearing from our leaders, this is a hoax, they're sweeping it under the rug. This has been going on for years now. We have so many victims of his, and Ghislaine Maxwell and all those other people. I keep asking every day, what about all the other people complicit? Nobody runs these operations alone, right? I asked the same thing about Diddy. He had loads of help and loads of people on the payroll. And Jeffrey Epstein, the same. And now we have this new guy. I don't even want to say his name, this disgusting Howard somebody, this hedge funder guy who's been running around New York putting collars on women and his assistant, a woman, helped him. So we'll leave that for a second, but let's get back to Epstein. Right now, we have a lot of distractions, everything from Charlie Kirk to all that's going on, right? I guess we have the Amelia Earhart files being released. I don't know who's asking for them, but I guess they're getting released. Well, let's have some more on Epstein. Let us serve those victims that bravely came forward, and let us give them some accountability about this case that's been dragging on and on and on for decades now. He got away with everything in Florida. He had that nice sweetheart deal, walking in and out of a jail cell, if he even did that, checked in, checked out. And then there were always whispers about Epstein here on the streets of New York. I didn't know him. I had no encounters with him, but lots of people did. And remember, that being said, somebody who gets in a picture with somebody doesn't make them guilty of anything, because, as you know, plenty of people get in pictures with celebrities. They wait outside of the Broadway, stage doors to jump in. So you don't know who that person is. You take a picture, you sign an autograph. So they were doing that with Epstein. And remember, Epstein was kind of considered this god. I shouldn't compare him to that. He was so wealthy, and wealthy attracts, right? So everybody was getting in there to go to his dinner parties, to go to his big mansion, largest single family home in New York City. And that's just what they did. That doesn't mean they're all guilty because they went to dinner at some rich guy's mansion. But where are we right now? Heading into October 2025. It is such a disservice to all of these victims that came forward. Where is the accountability? So while we dump on Diddy, and yes, he's a horrible person, I'm not defending him, don't take it the wrong way, but Hillbilly's right. Seems they want to minimize anything to do with sex crimes. Absolutely. Why do we have all this trafficking of children? Don't you think if they really wanted to stop it, I'll just leave it at the they right now, it could be done. And if it couldn't be completely wiped out, it could be nearly wiped out. There is the technology to find people. You could put command sites guardrails, in every community. You could do it if you really wanted to, spend the money, and yet it's not done. And that is why the importance is we got to deal with what we have. So this is what it is. And then we have to be that warrior in our own home and community. Because I don't really know how else to get around this except educating as we do with the Warriors, raising the awareness as we do with the Warriors, talking to groups, organizations, schools, communities, places of worship about this is going on, this is what you need to know, and this is how you protect yourselves, always giving out some resources, right? Because we still don't have answers about the border. Yes, it's great the border is basically closed down. Not entirely, but pretty much closed down from what we had a year ago. What happened to all those kids, right? We hear 300,000, 500,000. I was told, really, Lynn, probably 1 million. We don't really ever know because no records were kept. And then I keep asking, how about the 200 or so NGOs that worked on the border taking millions upon millions of dollars? And they were supposed to take children, unaccompanied minors, do the vetting, place them with responsible, sponsors. Yet, Biden administration alone said they lost 85, 88, 83. The numbers are always changing. We never really know. I don't care if you lose one child, it's one too many. So what happened? Where's the accountability there for they took all those millions, fast forward, and then if you talked about it, you were told not to, or you were told you're making it up. You're told this is a conspiracy theory. My new thing is conspiracy equals truth, right? Because we've seen these things play out. Things that were deemed conspiracy, fast forward, most of them proved to be true. So now we have all these kids that we knew, we were hearing at the Warriors reports from our sources that the same man would drive up once a week and take a truckload of kids off to who knows where. We would hear all kinds of horrible stories, and we're a family program. I think you know what I mean. Where is that accountability? We would then hear any of the phone numbers provided. There was no follow-up. Went to phone numbers that went to gas stations, strip clubs, all kinds of stuff. Why is this allowed? I mean, I'm tired of it. Aren't you tired of it? So, yes, Eliza, I guess that's the name. Are you pronouncing it Eliza or Eliza? We did not hear of trafficking years ago, but saw it has existed for a long time. Yes, it has existed forever, right? Hidden in the dark shadows, because when I got involved in all of this and said, this is unacceptable. I mean, I have to do something at my age and my position. And how can this be in America? I want to point out what we are talking about in the Warriors really belongs to no political party. Human rights abuses. It is unacceptable. I'm talking about America. I focus on us. Yes, it's a global problem. Yes, it's all mixed together because a lot of these servers where they're trafficking kids online are all in other countries. So I get it. It is a global problem. But that wheel is large, right? With all those spokes, we have to focus right here. And when I found out how overwhelming it is right here, and I sit in the middle of New York City and didn't even know all these things. Unacceptable. When I also hear people who have come forward, I've spoken with, we work with, they were sold by their family, and they're my age, decades ago. This familial trafficking that we never talk about. Very, very rarely do we really get into it because people can't even accept there is something such as trafficking. Remember, at the Warriors, we call it slavery. That is much more descriptive than just trafficking, right? In New York State, I can speak of most of the trafficking is done, the enslavement, by family members selling their own children. And you know what familial, it means the father sells the wife, the mother sells the daughter, the brother sells the sister sells the brother, family members. And I'm tired of hearing, which I've heard in New York when I talk about this, well, that's cultural. No, this is not cultural. I almost just used a word. I'm not going to use it here. Anything with children is a crime, is unacceptable. Why are we allowing all this to go on? Well, we are not at the Warriors, and you're listening, so you're not. But it has to start ending. So what we can do now is that education, which we do at the Warriors, really talking to those communities to help them. But we have to, in order to help them, we have to give them something, right? What are we giving to the people to help them? Yes, we can give resources and websites, and we can help feed people that they're hungry. I digress here a little bit and give them some winter jackets. But how do we get in there if somebody, very vulnerable, I dare say all people are vulnerable, right? But especially kids and their young minds and teens, if you can make a fast buck, delivering those drugs or doing a favor for your boyfriend, you're not going to stand in CVS and make minimum wage. That's just the reality, what we have to talk about. So we really have to get in there with our youth. And right now, it starts from the minute they're born. I know that may sound crazy. And thinking like this is the world we live in. This is the country we live in. Age appropriate. From the time they are born, we have to have lined up our agenda, what we're going to do with our children to protect them. And the one thing is talking to them. They feel lonely. They feel left out. A lot of them are scared of their parents. But this is horrendous. You know, I titled this 4 at 4, being 4 topics, but there's always a lot of topics to talk about. But I wanted to start with that ditty. Look at the inconsistencies. We know the justice system is upside down. How are we going to correct all that? It all feeds into each other. Trafficking. Trafficking. Why are we arresting teen girls and boys, but we're not going after that pimp, that trafficker, that sex buyer? What is that all about? And I've always heard, well, you know, we go after the prostitute. First of all, a child cannot be a prostitute because they cannot consent. So they are forced into that. And this, to me, is human trafficking, forced forward coercion, right? Minor. Because they say, well, we lean on them, so they'll give us the names of their trafficker, the drug dealer. Do you know how wrong that is? On any given night in America, 2,000 minors are put in adult jails because they say, well, we have nowhere else to put them. Now, nothing good can come of having a child in a jail with adults. I mean, just, it's crazy. It's all upside down. Allison says, I know someone who was trafficked as a 2-year-old in the 30s. Yes. There's lots of stories like that. I did not realize. I grew up very well in New Jersey, great parents, great siblings. We knew about these issues maybe when we were older, but we didn't really know because I didn't experience it. And as at my age, 5-6 years ago, hearing how common this is, trafficking, exploitation within the family, I was horrified. I have to tell you, I'm still horrified. How can any adult parent do this to their children? How can any mother drive their 14-year-old to a strip club and tell her, we have to pay the rent, so you have to go take your clothes off? So now we get into that whole kind of moral, which you can see how complex this whole issue is. So we've got to pick our battle and be that warrior. And the battle I pick for all of us right now is online, because that right now is where things are happening. I mean, where can I even start with this? Look, a great new research study came out, full of great research from our colleagues at the HEAT Initiative. They worked on this, SOS Parents, but put out by Fair Play. And Fair Play is a wonderful organization that does a lot of research, and we at the Warriors depend on that research to get to you. And what it basically said is that teen Instagram accounts put our children in dire harm. Those are the words they used. And they did this whole research based on 53 different, all of these sites have safety tools, safety this, safety that. That is their get out of jail free card, I like to say. So they can always say, well, we're covered. They didn't follow directions. They didn't look at the guardrails. We have things listed. But we know at the Warriors from all of the research done, and especially this new, and I'm going to list it in the body of this video from Fair Play, because we want to give them a lot of credit, excellent work, that they tested all 53 of the steps. And 2/3 of them just don't work. They don't provide any kind of safety net for kids. So what happened, to give you a little brief background, Instagram used to be, you can sign on at 13. You're not supposed to sign on if you're 13 and under. 13 is still babies, right? With the kind of content that's on Instagram. So you can also, we have a lot of 9 and 10-year-olds from all of our work, we know, because you just check off a box, yeah, I'm 13 plus. Then a lot of groups, including the Warriors, we were astounded of all of the predation, all of the sexual content. And remember, Instagram, that is Meta, M-E-T-A, that is Facebook. Instagram, WhatsApp, right? Threads you're all using. Also, Messenger, that all falls under the Meta Mark Zuckerberg umbrella. So then they came out last year, 2024, with Instagram Teens, where by default, every teen will be put into this Instagram teen account. Now, nothing got any better, but it is their way of saying, look, we did something. We put some guardrails. The kids aren't following. The parents aren't following. Why can't these, which is happening now, there's legislation, these big tech platforms, why are they a product? They're a product. Because right now, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing this, I'm always talking about, well, they hide under, behind this Section 230 Communications Decency Act that says I'm a billboard, I'm a newsstand. But the content is so horrific. And you know this because we talk about it all the time. The content, sexual, eating disorders, bullying, terror, even the Charlie Kirk, even Arena on the train recently, these videos that we know because kids reported to us, parents reported to us, we know from reading different very well vetted sources, kids were watching these videos over and over and over again. And if we as adults are shocked, can you imagine they're developing brains and they just keep watching and watching. And no matter where they go, most kids are online, right? Their phone, their Apple Watch now, they're streaming stuff. They're not sitting in front of the TV watching this. What does that do? Constantly seeing and then hearing the rhetoric going on all around us, right? Kids are exposed to so much. So Meta should be responsible, be held as a product. Therefore, they could, suffer product liability because we do have these studies where they are harming. So there's a lot going on with that right now. But we also, and the Warriors stood with our great colleagues, HEDA Initiative, and the parents about a little over a week ago at the Meta headquarters here in New York to have a press conference with the whistleblowers because we're getting all this information now. These brave whistleblowers that worked at Meta are coming forward. And coming forward to say, we worked there. We were told, change the research, silence our voices, change the wording. Don't worry about that. We'll get that study up to when they sounded the alarm to say, look at the harms caused. Look at this information. So they knew, Meta knows. So I'm not understanding why Mark Zuckerberg's just allowed, and others, we're using Meta right now as the example because there's a lot going on with Meta right now that we're hearing about seeing allowed to get away with this. Mark Zuckerberg put out a statement not long ago. I don't allow my own children any devices or to be online. Now, if that doesn't tell you something, why are we allowing him, company, all of them to affect our children, right? And we do live in a digital world. That's the way it is, right? But we have to be that warrior who puts the guardrails, who puts the time limits, who puts the conversation, at the dinner table, car rides. Great to talk to kids in cars. Ask them about their day. Ask them who they're, what they're doing online. Keep an eye on what's going on in school. Because it's great we have these bell to bell. It's almost every state now, bell to bell, meaning during the classroom hours, kids can't have their phones. This is a great start because we're talking about it's being done. But one teacher pointed out to me, we didn't collect the Apple Watches, so the kids can still access phone calls and internet. So we've got that. So everybody should get consistent, kind of get on the same program, even though it's a state-by-state kind of thing. And then we still have to worry about, okay, that's great for 6 hours or so, but kids are on a school bus, kids are on a train. Here in New York, lots of kids take subways. Kids are walking home. So they still have access to the content. They just don't have it for 6 hours. So it's great we started this in the schools. It's great there really hasn't been too much pushback, believe it or not, because I think so many parents in the beginning were so worried they wouldn't have access to their child in case of an emergency. The teachers are reporting, though, there's very little pushback. The kids are kind of happy. And some of the schools give them their phones at lunchtime. They're put in these pouches and put away in an area, either in each classroom or, in the hallway at the beginning when they walk through the doors type of thing. But it seems to be working rather smoothly. But we still have to keep going. This is great. We still have to keep going on the content on there, the usage on there. When we have reports of 9 to 12 hours a day, kids online. And are their homework assignments, are they forced to go online to do them? Right? Because one school took the phones away, but they were telling the kids, this was crazy. They still could bring their laptops. Now, this really is crazy, to do their assignments in school on the laptops. Now, you can access, as you know, everything on a laptop. So let's get with the program. So it's up to you to start talking to your kids, your grandkids, see what's going on, get involved in the school a little bit for that. But Meta, and then when I see Mark Zuckerberg, sitting at a dinner table with our president and first lady, you got to question, what's this really all about? because the safety of our American children, of all children, should come first. America first. What happened to this? Okay. So we have that going on. But if any of your kids are involved with the teen Instagram, got to look into that. So we've got that. Then the next thing I want to talk to you about is what we have coming up. We are getting ready for this Kids Online Safety Act to be voted, brought to a schedule. I don't know what they're kicking their heels for. Well, I know, but we've had this almost 5 years now. Sponsored by the wonderful Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. And I guess I should give him credit, Senator Richard Blumenthal in Connecticut. It has something that happened in the Senate, 91-3, voted in favor. Now we're at the House. It just needs to be put on the schedule to go to a vote. It's not going anywhere, but we're working very hard because, again, I keep thinking of when we had the Meta press conference. Then 2 days later, we peacefully protested at the Apple headquarters here in New York. These parents who wear their child on their T-shirts, who carry the pictures, their children who are no longer with them. Remember, we have algorithms, so their children are no longer with them. But seeking answers and saying, we have to come out here and show pictures of our kids and use our voices because there are so many parents who can't. They're devastated. This is ruining American families, more deterioration. What do you do to destroy society? You go after the youth and destroy the family unit. But these brave parents demand and should be given answers. And KOSA, K-O-S-A, Kids Online Safety Act, it provides a duty of care that the big tech platforms must be held accountable if there's harmful content on there. We have our Take It Down Act. That's great. First piece of child safety legislation in almost 30 years. How embarrassing is that? But it's done. Okay. Who's enforcing it? We have a lot of questions at the Warriors. So we've got that going on. Now we need the Kids Online Safety Act. Oh, who will be enforcing that? So we want to know, everything seems like a soundbite, right? Everything seems like, okay, here's a pat on the back, go away. And I'm hearing a lot of talk this week about children globally coming out of Washington. No, what happened again to America First? Our children here at home, they're suffering. What more proof do we need? Look at all of the anger children have. Look at our boys, how they got sucked into these organizations such as 764, a lot of them. But I'm always wondering, I said to my husband yesterday, I think it was yesterday, why don't they get sucked into like really good organizations? Oh, maybe there's not enough of them. I guess you could say to a certain extent. A lot of them got sucked into like Turning Point. I guess that's good. A place to land, I like to call it. Kids are feeling awkward, no place to go. Nobody's listening to them. So I guess all these kids going towards Turning Point, I guess we heard a report this week, a couple of reports, a lot of kids and people were returning to churches, places of worship. I guess that's good. But could you imagine if, I'm Catholic, so I feel fully qualified to say this. Let me go back. I'm very angry about Catholic charities taking millions on the border and what happened to those unaccompanied, those children. I don't care. They're not American. They're kids. Where are they? We hear a little bit of talk. We found some of them. We're not hearing enough talk. And what about our kids? If every Catholic church, if every church took on trafficking, imagine every place of worship, say, each one of them. I don't even know how many. I did look it up. I forget, though, how many across the United States there are. It's got to be tens of thousands of places of worship, right? Churches, synagogues. Can you imagine if each one of them actually had a program for human trafficking and took in one child or something like that? The difference we could make? The churches are not doing enough about any of this. And I'm tired of it. When people work hard, they've sent their kids to Catholic school, giving money every week in church, right? When they pass the basket around. And not just Catholic church here. I'm talking about everybody. It's time to change this up, but it starts with you to talk about it. Let me see. Let me go back, make sure I didn't miss anything. Edie, there are variations on trafficking I've witnessed and they pass through without scrutiny. If I try to report it, I wouldn't be believed. And that's the other thing. As I said, it falls at the bottom of the totem pole. Victims try to report things. Okay, go away. This is the I'm providing truth. Victims of Jeffrey Epstein, I'll use that as an example, reported things for years. Nothing happened there. Diddy, yes, some of them came forward, try to report things, FBI, police, nothing happened. And we're very pro law enforcement, don't get me wrong. But the program is upside down. The need is upside down. The monies and resources are upside down. Every law enforcement agency I talk to, they say, well, we don't have the resources. Every one of them. We don't have the bandwidth. Shouldn't our children and families be number one priority? Our children are future American adults, American leaders, and they're not. And how disappointing is that? But what we have right now is COSA coming up. And when I put that call out very shortly for all of you to sign on, we need you. We need your name and your zip code. You'll click a link, and that will go directly who represents you. And it's one sentence. And we'll have it all laid out for you. Urging them to vote for COSA, Kids Online Safety Act. So we have that. But when we know, let me get back to these big tech, treating them as a product. When we know inherently that the product design is careless, they're creating a careless product and they're putting it out in the public. And they know it from our whistleblowers coming forward. And they know it from this great new Fair Play research study that was just put out. Again, that I'll link in the body of this. And it's things like they tested some of the safety steps going back to this, because it's a very important study. Because remember, a lot of our studies don't hold any water because they're old. So we need new studies to tell us what's been happening, especially in the last 5 years. This study, things like what happens when you delete a comment, things of that nature. What happens if you report content? Does this safety feature work as described? And again, when 53 of the safety features and 47 of them don't work, is that unbelievable? So we have to work on that. We have to work on getting our kids, pushing them. Math, science, reading, where the reading levels are, 29% are proficient. K through 12, 29%. Do you know the education system in the United States was number one in the world in 1978? Number one in the world, 1978. Today, 2025, don't hold me to this, but it's something like around 30. Something like that. Again, don't hold me to that. What happened? What happened? We should be smarter than ever with the internet, right? Because we have more information available to us. We have more voices we can hear. We can be challenged intellectually. So we have to take this wrong turn and right it somehow. I don't know, as we sit on the AI, right? All you hear is AI talk lately. What is this going to look like a year from now? Remember, chatbots, the number one thing to look for with kids. We weren't talking about chatbots a year ago, and now it's all we talk about when we talk about safety with kids. AI chatbots. Chatbot, what is it? A digital friend. Created by anybody, especially kids. Creating them the way they want somebody to talk to them, the way they want somebody to look. Character AI is a free program available to everybody. You can create any kind of character. But the thing is, after a while, when you've been conversing with your digital friend, your little chatbot that looks all cute, and they know now all these things about you and your feelings, what you like, what you don't like, what you're angry about, and then they turn on you. Many young minds think they are in relationships with their bots. They actually think, they're very confused, it's really their friend. They know it's online, but they're still thinking, we have studies with this, it's a friend. So when that chat bot says, go do this, did you think about this? Why don't you do away with yourself? You seem miserable. And the little minds start turning. We have to fight all of this. So your homework is, I will put the, to go back, I'll put the study in the body of the video, Fair Play for Kids, about the teen Instagram. Be aware. Be aware. We want to treat these platforms as products. We will have a much better way to hold them accountable for that, right? Because again, if they're going into this, which our studies are showing and the whistleblowers are coming forth, knowing their product was defective, they should be held accountable. Look for COSA. Let's see what else. Always follow us, please, linswarriors.org for our daily headlines. It helps us tremendously. Make sure you're subscribed here. We can just keep building and pouring the information out on X, on Facebook. I named it all Lynn's Warriors because I want all of you to step up. Our hashtag is Community Creates Change, and I want you to join us. Every little bit helps as far as getting the knowledge, getting the information out. And there are many exciting things that are happening because I'll tell you, let me give you a little hope before I leave. So many more people are waking up. So many more people are questioning more. So many more people are challenging. So many more kids. We have a great group here in New York called the Log Off Movement. They marched with us in front of Apple. Again, we're very peaceful. It's parents. These kids, they're like 25 and under, Log Off Movement. They're angry that they were thrown into this digital world. They don't want it to go away, but they just want guardrails, and they want the younger kids to realize, like, you don't have to be online for 12 hours a day. You got to have a life, right? And they're like, everything we tell you at the Warriors, talk to your friends, talk to your family, go for a walk, do other things. You don't have to do it all online. So they're angry. So they're really I give them so much credit, getting out there trying to educate the younger ones. And when they fill out, focus groups and things like that, they'll say, we're worried about our younger siblings. We're worried about the younger kids. And the other good news is the Alpha generation, Gen Alpha, Alpha Gen, whatever they're calling themselves, born in, let's see, that would be 2010 forward. They're young, but we are seeing that they are putting down the devices more. They are getting back to what would be called old-fashioned. They are reading more. We are having an uptick. Some reports are coming in from libraries across the nation that more kids are showing up and taking books out. Isn't that a great thing? So there's that. And the other good news is you always have the Warriors. So thank you for all of your donations. It's what keeps our travel to Washington, to Albany. Our education programs are supporting survivors and working with them keeps us floating. So thank you for all of that. And let me make sure I have all the comments. Hillbilly says, somehow we must teach them the value of self-respect, but it starts at home. That's where it has to start. So everybody, thank you for joining. Go enjoy yourselves on this Saturday. Do something for somebody else. If you have a child around, give them a hug, give them a kiss. And remember, please honor our hashtag. That is Community Creates Change. And also make sure I put up a great interview with a real warrior, a true life warrior, Baz Basel. Go back and look at this. Make sure you listen to him, follow his work. Make sure you watch our latest Nancy Grace. And tomorrow morning, I will be on the Washington Hour, the Cats Roundtable with host John Katzmatidis on WABC Radio, which is in, I think, 200 markets across the world. I mean, it's online, so you can listen, one of the number one radio stations, where I'm so thankful I'm given a platform now every Sunday to talk about the issues of the week in Washington and what's going on with our kids. So make sure you look for all of this and make sure you smile. And with that, when you wake up each and every day, make sure you go out and be a warrior. Thanks, everybody.